Hi, it's me, back with some more Limbus company. If you weren't here for the last part, we went through all of the event updates, and now I'm actually going to review the event IDs, because I wanted to wait until I had all of it before I reviewed it, and I had to play for 3 hours to unlock Ryoshu's EGO. So now that I've done that, we're going to go through all of the new stuff. To start with, here's my roles and the story for each of the two IDs, because those are going to be important. Wow, that did not take long.
가까이 오지 마세요. 아직 잡아야 할 개들이 산더미니까. 그리고 개 내장 묻을 수도 있어요.
All right. See, I did 110 pull.
자, 변신 완료. 만선이에요.
Yeah, I'm gonna be real with all of you. I got Ishmael on the first 10 pull, so I just sharded Honglu. Who cares? I still have 400 boxes. It's fine.
스크랩 드라이버를 좀 더 개조해봤죠. 아무래도 역시 이걸로 그 큰 놈을 잡아봐야겠어요.
Yeah, I'm getting steamed alive in here. The sounds of ponderous sighs and crab shells cracking open filled the green, squelchy mudflat. Come on, pop right off. Come on. After a few labored grunts from the child, a metal scrap sploshed onto the mudflat. It was soon added to the pile, which had grown taller than two trash crabs stacked together. What? Where'd the kid run off to? I thought he went to get the wagon, not cobble together a whole new one from scratch. Ooh, I think I need a break. She wiped the sweat off her brow and plopped herself on top of a trash crab's shell, which had now become a rather serviceable stool. To quench her thirst, she raised the canteen she brought to her mouth and scowled. What the? I thought I got a bottle full of iced water. When'd it go lukewarm on me? Besides, it's salty. Ugh, the top must have come loose or something. The child glowered at the canteen, at the lake, and then back at the canteen. She again sighed deeply and dumped the entire canteen on her head. She probably thought that the water would at least cool her down. How much longer do I have to keep doing this crap? Brushing through her now soaked hair, the child began to contemplate. She was thinking back to when she first woke up on this mudflat. She was glad that she was able to come back from the books, but it was unfortunate that she couldn't choose where to come back to. Of course, the child didn't have a penny to her name, and even before she could find her bearings, she noticed a trash crab aggressively crawling toward her. All she could do was to face it, completely unarmed. Perhaps her fixer days weren't for naught after all. Watching her beat down a trash crab with her bare hands, the owners of nearby boatworks offered to buy the scraps off her quarry. It's thanks to their help that we were at least able to open up our own boatworks. Whew. Even that would have been a challenge, had the other guys not returned as well. The child's goal was to return to V Corp, District 22. Back to where their office used to be, to get their old lives back. Still a ways to go to earn enough for the ride back. Oh god, don't take a warp train back. You know what happened last time. Phooey, I'm wasting time. The wagon will get here at some point. Might as well kill some more crabs until then. She dove back into the lake after muttering to herself. She whispered, aiming her weapon at the trash crab hiding in the depths of the lake. Sit still. No use struggling. Crab. That's all I gotta say about that, honestly.
개조를 했더니 출력은 나아졌는데 여전히 개딱지나 잡고 있다니 괜히 했나 싶네요.
Late at night on a pitch-dark mudflat. Flashes of blue sparks flickered on and off somewhere there. following the light that was too glaring to be from a lighthouse, yet too meek to be a fire. There was a child firing sparks at the insides of a large weapon with his welding rod. Let's see. If the weld beads get too big here, the electronics will be affected, I've been told. Better keep it to a minimum. Bzz, bzz. And then, what was I supposed to do next? Lifting his goggles, the child reads down the memo written on the small sheet of paper under the tiny lamp. That must be the circuit diagram his coworker drew for him. Right, now let's get to connecting circuits. Zzz. This time, a thread of smoke quietly billowed instead of sparks. The child's brows were furrowed, perhaps disturbed by the acrid smoke creating while welding, soldering. And now, a click is followed by a hum of electric power. The child earnestly hoped that his modification of the weapon was a success. Alas... come on, why? There's no reason it shouldn't work. A small sigh filled the shop's still air. The silence felt doubly palpable thanks to the weapon turning off. It's okay, let's just try it again. With a desperate look on his face, the child began examining the circuit board, holding a pair of tweezers in his hand. At the same time, a growing feeling of anxiety ruffled the child's mind. Being the last of the group to return from the book, it was by sheer luck that he was discovered before he starved to death, he thought. Though he happened to start working at a boat shop, his skills and prowess as a fixer weren't really needed here. When he tried to help out with hunting, the leader was doing it with far greater efficiency. And when he thought he'd lend a hand in mechanics, his colleague was much more capable than he was. The unease that he's too mediocre to make meaningful contributions in any field has been constantly haunting the child. This must be it. That's why the child is desperate. To upgrade his weapon, learning from his coworkers, and hunt trash crabs with greater efficiency using the improved weapon. There! That was the only way he could think to be helpful. Great, I'll give it a test run on tomorrow's hunt. Things don't always go swimmingly, however. It's working, I guess, but it's not quite there. It looks like the modification didn't go as the child planned. With an uncertain look, the child laboriously slew trash crabs. Maybe the gear ratio in the part where the chains are attached was off. Alright, I'll ask about it when I get back. Still, the child doesn't give up. He'll keep at it until a better solution is found. Alright, Sinclair, chill out. Alright, now that that's out of the way, let's look at some IDs and some ego, shall we? So to start off, we're gonna go with the ID you get from pulls, being Molar Boatworks fixer Ishmael. Really interesting how Ishmael keeps getting IDs, but cool. Start off, middling speed again. Ishmael is probably never going to have a high speed ID from what we've seen so far. It's just not going to happen. Pride, Sloth, Gloom is actually like a really unique skill sin affinity set. It's really good for Gisang's Sun Shower, because it generates 3 things that needs. And that's basically all I have to say about that. Ready to Crush is a 4 to 10 with 2 coins. On use, gain 3 tremor count. On hit, gain 3 tremor count. Heads hit, inflict 2 sinking count. This is like the best applicator of sinking count, if I'm being honest with you. And by this, I mean the ID, not just the skill. She does a lot of sinking count, and not a lot of sinking necessarily. She does do a lot of both. But this is yet another ID that uses tremor count instead of charge count, which is a little annoying. I wish they would just, like, make a different status effect, because tremor count is weird. Explosive Blast, at 5 plus tremor count, coin power plus 1. So it's a 5 to 15 or 5 to 17 if you've used her skill 1 before, because it generates 6. First coin inflicts 3 tremor count and gains 2 tremor count. Second coin inflicts 6 sinking and 3 defense level down next turn. This is a very powerful ID for setting up damage for the next turn and just working with all of the tremor and sinking IDs we already have. You'll notice. And you'll notice even more here. Risky Judgment, which is a 3 to 18 at 5 plus tremor count, coin power plus 1, so 3 to 21. And if target has 6 plus sinking, deal 20% more damage. First coin on hit inflict 5 sinking count. Second and third coins inflict 3 sinking and spend 5 tremor count each to inflict an amount of fragile next turn, which is insanely good. This skill does an insane amount of damage and inflicts fragile and a ton of sinking, which is super important for boss fights because sinking does a lot of gloom damage to enemies. Her defense is a 10 to 14 evade, which isn't... Sorry. Yeah, no, that is a 10 to 14 evade. Why did I not notice that sooner? That's really good. Why does it base 10? What? That's absurdly high for a base evade. Wow. But it gains 2 Rupture Protection up to 6 times per turn. Rupture Protection is useless. Because if you're playing well, you're not going to get hit. So even if you have Rupture, it doesn't really matter. But that's a really... I never noticed that it was 10 to 14. That is strange. Crushing Crabs. On hit against a target with Tremor, inflict 1 sinking count. This is really easy to do. This is probably the best Pride passive in the game. And you really want to run her in Tremor builds as a result. Because sinking count, you know. Crab Driver is when an ally with the lowest max HP hits with heads coins, they inflict 1 sinking count when inflicting Tremor count. Which is very specific, and let's be honest, if you're running Tremor, this unit is in your party, so this doesn't matter. So that's Ishmael. She's, like, really good. Easy S tier ID. Not much else to say about it. Molar Boatworks Fixer Sinclair is very weird. And not amazing, but he has a niche. I'm going to talk about his passives first. On hit with heads coins at 10 plus tremor count on self, inflict +1 tremor and tremor count with coin effects. That's a lot. I don't know if it's worth it. One ally with the most max HP inflicts +1 tremor with the effects of their attack skills and coins. This is probably more effective than the ID itself, all things considered. You'll see why in a minute. First off, Fierce Assault is a 2 to 6, which is absolute garbage. And it has 4 coins, which means the damage is alright, but the skill itself is not good. At 10 plus tremor count, coin power +1, so it gets to a 2 to 10. Right now, there's a glitch that makes this really consistent. This is going to be fixed with the next update, most likely. Second and fourth coins have on-hit gain 2 tremor count and heads hit inflict 1 tremor count, which is really strange how it's divided like that, but okay. Skill 2 steady, 4 to 16 is much better. On use gain 4 tremor count and on hit inflict 4 tremor. He can inflict a lot of tremor, in fact, which you'll see with his skill 3, Gamble, which is also a 4 to 16 but has 2 coins. First coin is the only coin that has an effect. On hit, at 10 plus tremor count, spend all tremor count to inflict the target with the same amount. This effect is a lot less useful than it looks. Mostly because tremor count doesn't improve the effectiveness of tremor. What this enables is the Rose Spanner IDs to, like, be able to burst tremor multiple times, because they consume a lot of tremor count when they do that. But this ID helps them not kind of suck at keeping tremor count on enemies. On hit, at less than 10 tremor count, gain 6 tremor and burst tremor on self. Deal blunt damage equal to tremor burst damage. First off, a lot of people are misreading this. This blunt damage is on the enemy, not the user. That being said, since this activates sequentially, I don't know if it's supposed to, this'll always go off. The bug is that currently it self-inflicts tremor count instead of tremor. This has already been confirmed to be a bug. Right now, this makes it so that he gains tremor count so easily. Once it's fixed, this ID is going to be a lot worse. His defense is an 8 to 13 guard that gives 1 rupture protection. Who cares? It's not really that interesting. This ID provides really good support for Rose Spanner, and aside from inflicting a ton of tremor count, it doesn't do much. It's like a low C tier, I'd say. It's not F tier. There are worse identities in the game, and there's even worse identities on Sinclair, surprisingly enough. His resource generation is really interesting. Gluttony, Envy, Gloom in this order is pretty interesting, but not super useful. You'll see why it's that order in a minute when we look at Soda for Honglu. This ego is okay. It's probably the better of the 2 Teth ego that Honglu has. 3 Gluttony, 2 Gloom, 2 Envy. That is literally just Sinclair's skill generation. It's a 20 to 27 with 2 attack weight at Uptie 3. Head's attack end, heal 2 allies with the lowest HP for 12. Tails attack end, heal 12 SP for 2 allies with the least SP. And crit attack end, heal the ally with the lowest HP percentage for 6 HP, and the ally with the lowest SP for 6 SP. First things first, you can completely disregard the crit attack end because Honglu has no IDs that gain poise. So unless you're in the mirror dungeon, it's literally just never going to happen. So you might as well ignore it. This is basically a weaker version of Fluid Sac on Faust. It's not free though. The thing that's the problem with this is that it's using the same resources as Fluid Sac, so you kind of don't want to use it. But if you're running a team that doesn't have Faust for whatever reason, this is pretty decent. I wish the attack weight was 3. The corrosion is a 25 to 10, which sucks. Targets the unit with the least HP. Heads hit inflict 1 bind next turn, and on hit inflict 4 tremor. This corrosion is just trash. Like, 1 bind is not enough to matter most of the time, and 4 tremor is also not enough to matter most of the time. So it doesn't really make any difference. Seagull Squawking of the Distant Seas. When an enemy is defeated, the ally with the least SP heals 1. Whenever an enemy is defeated, the amount of SP healed increases by 2, up to 9. And the amount is reset at the start of a new wave. So this passive doesn't do a lot. In fights that have a lot of enemies, if you've used this, then yeah, it can keep your SP up pretty decently. In focus fights, which typically don't have a lot of waves, this doesn't matter. Because it's going to take a while before you can use this ego to begin with, and even after you use it, there aren't that many enemies left. Plus boss fights, this passive does nothing! So yeah, sorry about the yawning. Lastly, we have Soda on Ryoshu, which is notable for being Zayn, but you'll see in a second why that doesn't matter. 2 Gluttony, 2 Pride, 2 Envy is really annoying to fuel. She has 2 IDs that fuel the Pride and the Gluttony, and 1 ID that only fuels the Envy, and unfortunately, the good one is the one that fuels only the Envy. It's a 15 to 25, which for a Zayn AoE is not that bad. 15 sanity cost is whatever. On hit, inflict 5 sinking. On kill, gain 3 ego resources of a random affinity currently owned, and all allies heal 3 SP. So, first off, attack weight of 1 at this Uptie, which is just not good. On kill effects are never going to be that reliable. Random affinity means it doesn't even oh, excuse me. It doesn't even refund itself necessarily. And 3 SP is basically nothing. Ego resources gaining, first off, you can't look at this like it refunds itself. You can't look at this like it costs less because it can give you ego resources. Because that's not how that works. You need to build up the cost to begin with. And in focus fights, where this is most likely to matter, this is just not as good as Forest for the Flames. The corrosion is a 26 to 14, which is alright. Targets randomly. Inflicts 5 sinking, and after attack, all allies gain 1 ego resource amp. The ego resource amp would be a lot better if it were next turn. Because Ryoshu's IDs typically are pretty in the middle when it comes to speed, so you're still not even likely going to refund it. You're better off generating ego by just using your skills and saving them for something that doesn't cost this much. This makes me wonder why Legerdemain costs so little, by the way. Passives, on hit, if the target has 5+ sinking, inflict 1 defense power down up to 5 times per turn. This is literally useless. Defense power down does basically nothing. Because all it does is make the roll of a defense skill lower. And it doesn't even impact counter skills since those go by offense level. And hitting an enemy with 5 sinking is already difficult. This is just not a good ego. Rhodia out for Sinclair, I guess. It doesn't really matter what order I have them in. The problem is mostly with the ego not being super amazing. So the stuff you get from the actual banner is Molar Boatworks Fixer Ishmael and Soda for Honglu, which are the 2 better things. I'm just gonna win rate, by the way, because this fight is very easy. Yeah, so Molar Boatworks Fixer Ishmael is insanely good. Molar Boatworks Fixer Sinclair has a niche, but is typically bad. Honglu's Soda is at least better than Roseate Desire, so there's that. Like, you can see Sinclair's first skill just does not clash, is the problem. Especially early on. And Ryoshu's Soda, despite being our second non-base Zayn, which is interesting, just doesn't matter. It doesn't do anything significant. I'll try to use it in this fight, if I can, just to show the animations. But just typically, aside from Ishmael, this isn't going to shake up what you're running very much. I need Gluttony. For all of the ego, actually. Thankfully, this is a 3-wave fight, so you'll be able to build up pretty decently for the final wave. That was a good clash, surprisingly enough. But yeah, as you can see, the Tremor Burst is broken, and it's giving him count instead of potency. That is 100% getting fixed. God, they don't really like using Gluttony skills, do they? But yeah, that's basically my thoughts on it. I don't dislike the designs of these, and I think that if Sinclair's rolls, like if his first skill was a 4 to 8, I think that would make him at least usable. Because his second skill isn't bad, and his third skill, I mean, it could do with being a little bit better. I'll be honest. Like, put something on that second coin. Come on, game. Or come on, PM. I can blame them because they're the ones designing it. But aside from that, I really don't have that much to say about these IDs. I'm just getting some Gluttony here because I need it. It's what I'm short on at the moment. Yeah, that's my thoughts on it. I'm gonna do the rest of this fight because you might as well see it. So yeah, as you can see, since Sinclair's skill 3 is bugged, it's actually really easy to get him to high tremor count, which means his passive is going to activate a lot. can I use... I can use Ryoshu Soda. And I will, because it is the one that is not great. I've not seen the animation before, though, so I at least want to look at it. You know? This fight's very easy. I appreciate that the grind for this event is not as bad as it was before, or at least doesn't take as long. It's still going to take about the same amount of actual goes at the final mission, but they're really short compared to the dungeons, and I appreciate that. Stab. Is she even going to get to use it? Yeah, okay, good. Soda! I mean, it's not even... It doesn't even look that great. I'll be honest with you. Alright, now we need to build enough to use Honglu's, which I need 1 gluttony. There we go. Perfect. That should be enough to kill him. Everybody else target this guy. Yeah, though, Ishmael is insanely good. Just... I recommend getting her, because this is a limited time ID. You'll be able to purchase her through the dispensary until the end of Season 2, I think? That's how it works anyways. Once you get to the end of Season 2, you're not going to be able to anymore, which is why you'll probably want to do it now, because after that, you won't have another opportunity until Season 3 is over. So I recommend getting her now. Whether or not you want to bother farming for Ryoshu's Soda and Sinclair's Boatworks Fixer ID is up to you. Neither of them are amazing, though. Also, if you want a really good strategy for this boss fight, just full target the boss. There's really no point in paying any attention to the minions at all, because they don't do enough damage to matter. And the crate is a part that remains on kill, which is very important. And oh my god, this is the 5th time I've used this ego, and the 1st time I've rolled heads. Now, while this ego got one of the best animations in the entire game, it's still pretty mid, all things considered. I like the animation a lot. Honglu is definitely the best candidate for a magical girl ID in the future. Or any of their ego, to be honest, because I forget that they are actual, like, abnormalities, too. Anyways, this fight is over now, because another quirk about this fight is that the minion crabs die when the boss crab does. Which I think is because they're programmed as summons, because he has a skill that summons them, but it's still a little odd. But it does make grinding a little bit less frustrating, because you can just ignore the minions on the final wave, which is pretty important, I'd say, having a non-frustrating experience, you know? There he goes. Fight over. It's like Doomsday Clock's minions. Just kill him and they all despawn. Now, the other question is, do you want to uptie any of this to uptie level 4? Starting with the ego, because it's a pretty short answer. Ryoshu's Soda gains 1 attack weight, inflicts 1 more sinking, and applies an anomalous amount of haste to all allies next turn. Or maybe just to herself. I have no idea how much haste this is. And frankly, I'm not going to figure out, because this ego is not good enough to use, in my opinion. Even after gaining 1 attack weight, it is not significant. It's too expensive for what it does, and it's just not good. So I would say, do not uptie this one. Honglu's Soda gains a third attack weight, and all of the healing goes up by, I think that's 25% in general, which is nice. On the corrosion, you just get one more tremor, which doesn't matter because the corrosion is bad. But this one, it's mostly up to you. Honglu has already got, like, okay, the Uptie 3 version of this is already good enough, and it doesn't gain any power. One more attack weight isn't super significant, though it will let you hit 2 targets in later waves of story fights that are not focus. And I guess in focus fights it'll hit an additional target, which is cool, but also maybe don't prioritize it, because there are better ego that you can uptie, just in general. Molar Boatworks Office Fixer Sinclair. The gaining tremor count for the first skill is on hit instead of heads hit. It's 6 instead of 4 on steady for both of the tremor effects, and you gain 10 tremor on skill 3. Skill 3 also gains coin power for every 10 tremor count on self, which I think, yeah, it doesn't do until Uptie 4, which makes skill 3 max roll 20, which is not bad. But getting up to 20 tremor count isn't going to be easy once they fix this inflicting tremor count to you. This doesn't matter. I'll tell you that much. Boatworks Office Fixer Ishmael. This changes from heads hit to on hit. Doesn't gain any power. This inflicts 1 more defense level down next turn, and this skill does more damage and gains an additional coin power with 10 plus tremor count, so it max rolls 24 instead of 21. And Nibble Steps does become Pride, which matters because this evade is stupid. So you don't need to uptie Molar Boatworks Office Ishmael. It falls into the category of, this ID is really good, but the stuff it gains isn't really significant enough to prioritize it. She is really good, but the buffs you get from Uptie 4 aren't that significant. It really only matters on the 3rd skill for the additional coin power. The rest of it, you can take it or leave it. You're still inflicting a ton of sinking count with this ID, even though this isn't super consistent comparatively. Alright. Oops. So, I've already updated my company to include all the newest stuff. Like, these guys have their new ego equipped if you want to try them out. I don't know why you would bother with that soda. I am going to change this Sinclair to Boatworks Fixer until the end of this event, because it helps people farm their scrap a little bit better. It's not super significant, but if you wanted to use it for that, sure. You can add my friend code. Now, when I uploaded the last ID review, after that, I was at 197 out of 200 friends. And obviously, I want to make this so that anybody has a chance to use this. So what I'm going to do is, before a new banner comes out, that day I am removing everybody from the friends list so that people have a chance to sign up. And there's a couple people that added me today, that's why these are here. But I am going to remove everybody from that list every time there's a new banner, because it is just, I want to give everybody a chance to have the opportunity to try stuff out. I don't want to just have it be, oh yeah, the first 200 get it. So add me if you want to test that stuff out. Thank you for watching. We'll be back. I'll have a guide up tomorrow, and then Pikmin 4 will start up again on Monday. So look forward to that, in quotation marks. Leave a like and subscribe if you found the video cool. I hope you have a good rest of your day, and I hope to see you again later. Bye!